excuse me, are you appreciating me? Or are you actually going ahead and insulting me? And insulting me about something that I have no control over. Apart from wearing a 4-inch heels, I don't have anything else to do to combat that. So I think it exists and it is sad, and you have to deal with it. How you deal with it depends on you. Yeah.
Amrita, any particular incident or any particular type of shaming that you would like to talk about?
Yes, I think, Devlina, when we were having this conversation yesterday or last night, we were having this discussion where we were thinking that it is so sad to see that we come from a so-called educated society, right? And still, we go through so much shaming, and there's no one to stop. A stranger will not come ahead and shame you. It is your family, it is your friends who have the right to talk to you like that. They do it. As I told you, I'm not very tall, and when I was young, and still now, people do come up to me and say, "You're so pretty, I wish you were taller." And as a child, I started wearing heels at a very young age. My mother, of course, resisted. You're not supposed to wear heels because physically it creates a problem. You have to wear heels when you grow up. But I used to crave for that validation. Just imagine this validation, this craving exists in so many people. It's a different story that after 10 years, I don't need that validation. Because no matter how much you try, people will try to put pressure on you to, fit in. It depends on you if you want to fit in or if you're comfortable in your own skin. So yes, about my nose, I have this typically Bengali, as they say, body nose. And people started telling me that. And initially I used to feel bad. I used to actually tell my mother, if I earn so much of money, I'll go for, like plastic surgery. Then I realized, hang on, you're laughing about my nose. And I started giving it back to them. If you're laughing about my nose, start paying entertainment tax because I'm entertaining you. You're enjoying it. And that is when people would take a step back, like they would understand, okay, fine, she's not taking it in the right way. So yes, I have not faced so much shaming, probably where I would not be able to combat it. But as I said before also, that the casual shaming is also very hurtful, because if you don't, fight it, it is difficult for you to create a positive view. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Sangeeta, what about you? We'll come back to you. Any particular instance that you can think of?
Oh, I can think of quite a few of them. And so basically, before I talk about the incident, I just want to touch upon the fact that body shaming is not just from external sources, it's also internal body shaming. When you hear it so many times, you start shaming yourself. And that's what happened to me, because I was always in school one of the shortest girls. I was always one of the darkest girls. I was also one of the healthiest girls. Okay, so the fattest ones. So there was, shaming from classmates. Then at home, there were mean cousins, rude relatives who would speak a lot of nonsense. And what happened was that I started internalizing it. And I remember I was probably in class 6 or 7. I was good in studies. I was extremely good in curriculum as well as extracurriculum activities. I was a leader, a monitor, a head girl. But when I was in class 6 or 7, I actually thought that I'm going to go to the terrace and I'm going to jump off the terrace. I was so ashamed of myself being so short. So that is the kind of impact a rude comment or a jibe can have on you. And I distinctly remember, even though in class 12 I was the head girl, when I entered college and my first day of college, I was like, oh my God, it's a co-education college and I'm from a girls' school and I'm so short. Are they even going to accept me? And Devalina, I wore heels. I mean, I don't know, my highest pair of heel I wore. I couldn't even walk, but I wore that because I wanted to be accepted. But it was amazing. My college had such a positive effect on me that, of course, that was the only day I wore those heels. But yes, I mean, and it still continues. I mean, I even at this age, if I'm going to a family function, the first thing I have one or two very extremely rude uncles and aunties who just come and tell me, I mean, they are my uncles and aunties, so they are almost in their late 60s and 70s, but they still come and tell me that, अरे क्या कुछ वॉक नहीं कर रही हो, इस ये कर लो, वो कर लो, पतली हो जाओगी. I mean, they don't see the body of work that I have behind me. All that they see is my exterior. So I don't care now. I'm like a duck. Do you know what's so special about a duck's feather?
Tell us.
They are waterproof. That's why, do you know there was a company called Duckback?
Yes, of
Used
course.
to make raincoats? Yeah, because duck's back is waterproof.
Right.
So my back is waterproof. You tell me something, I don't care.
That was really amazing, Sangeeta. Thank you for sharing. And that is just so nice. Like, actually, just this aspect that the body of work needs to matter for an individual. How a person looks externally is that person's God given body and God given features, and how the person wants to handle them is that person's choice. I don't know why everyone takes on the role of a health coach, a well wisher, or just grand auntie Susan. Let's call her grand auntie Susan for want of a better word. So this is absolutely true. And like Amrita also pointed out, it may just be very casual shaming, but it does not feel nice. A special occasion loses its charm because somebody has, given their two bit of advice. So the point of today's talk is just that, to just stop shaming another, whether it's for something really big or whether it's for something very small or something which is just too casual for you. It's not casual for the person opposite you. It never is, and it never will be. And with that thought in mind, we are actually coming out with a 3-month course on online counseling skills. So if you're more interested in how to be an empathetic person, how to listen better, and generally have good relationships, contact us and we'll definitely teach you the skills of counseling. It works for us in our personal lives, so we hope it's going to work for you in your personal lives too. So do contact us for more details. It begins from the 28th of July.
So, Hari. So coming back to you, Sangeeta and Amrita, I have a specific question because both of you are, people who hold jobs, where there are men, there are women. Have you ever felt shamed or discriminated in terms of gender? Have you ever at home or at work? It could be any. We'll start with you, Sangeeta. Yeah.
Absolutely. So at home, at my home per se, no, never, because we have an extremely egalitarian home. We don't have gender roles at home at all. In fact, while I'm speaking, my husband's probably in the kitchen cooking. So, it's all sorted between us. But at work, yes, I mean, I have faced it so many times when you want to voice your opinion, you want to speak about a strategy, and you just see that, you have said something, and the same thing when it is repeated by a male member in your team, it's sort of taken more seriously. So, yes, that exists. That's my take on it.
Amrita, can we hear from you, please? What's your take to it? Do relatives, family members, or work colleagues, associates discriminate or shame in terms of gender?
Okay, so I will agree completely and totally with Sangeeta over here. The HR policies actually strive a lot to put people from different genders on equal platform. But I think it's the mentality that is needed from your co-workers to actually give you that equal opportunity. Uh, I agree completely. If you say something and if there is a person from the other gender saying something, I think that person's thought is considered more and not yours. Um, I have seen this happen with my colleagues when they are going on maternity leave, they are actually scared about losing their jobs. Now, the HR policy said that that is your, rightful leave. Then why is someone else getting appointed for that particular position? And if they are getting appointed, then in that case, you need to ensure that her job is secured. So this is one. In my case, also, yes, in terms of clothing, in terms of, I think, in terms of the way you are perceived, if you drink, if you do anything, if you go to parties, I think there are many industries where you will face that sort of stigma. Unfortunately, in my personal life also, not my immediate family members, of course, but my home is again very much supportive. But in terms of my extended family, I'll tell you a very small thing that happened. 5 months back, my uncle was hospitalized because of kidney failure. And my father, I realized that he needs support. So I used to go to the hospital every day, twice a day, be there for 3 hours while his dialysis was going on. And I used to come back to office and work till 9:30, 10 because I have to finish meet my deadlines. So I was literally doing 2 shifts. So after everything was over, when he came back home, the relatives came back to see him. And one of the relatives very casually said, তুমি একটা ছেলের মতো কাজ করেছো, একটা ছেলে যতটা কাজ করতে পারে সেরকম ভাবে তুমি কাজটা করেছো. Now my question was, are we saying that girls are not capable of taking responsibilities? Or are we saying it is the designated job of a man to run around and do the legwork and do everything and yet secure their job? So they don't even realize that behind that appreciation, they are creating a huge gender discrimination. That is something very sad. So yes, this is what I have faced. Absolutely. Yeah.
A lot of people take gender shaming as their birthright, and it's so ingrained in the social fabric that people don't even realize that they are doing it. Even if it's pointed out, they would be like, but where have I said something wrong? And the mindset will only change if every individual changes. It's like a ripple effect, I believe. If I don't discriminate another on the basis of gender, sometimes even as parents or sometimes even as spouses, we discriminate, and we think it's very harmless. Like if you tell your daughter, don't go out so late, because something may happen to you. And if you have a son, like I have children who are in that age bracket, but if in my head, if I discriminate between both, that is where gender shaming starts, in these so-called innocent acts, and then it becomes something very vicious, and it's difficult to control then.
I have a question for Sangeeta.
Yes.
Sangeeta, you said when you were in 6th standard, you felt almost like killing yourself because of all the bad stuff that was coming your way. Can you tell us about from there to this state of positivity? Was there moments of or spurts of growth, or was it over a period of time? How did you work through it?
So I think it was over a period of time. Because the influences which shamed me to some extent, because you can't change your family, they continue to shame me even till date, but it was an internal journey. I started reading a lot. I started keeping positive company. I had some amazing friends who were, much taller, more good looking, but they never made me realize of my shortcomings. They would reinforce that, look at your qualities. But the real change came when I went to college. And as I told you, that the first day I walked in with very, very high heels. And I met some people, and they are my friends 30 years down the years. They are still very good friends. They were not tall at all. And they were not girls, they were boys, And I was like, oh my God, So it's okay not to be tall. You can still exert your personality, you can still do good stuff. And I felt just so comfortable in that environment. And then there was no looking back. So, yeah, you just have to keep people with good vibes around you and just ignore the rest.
Thank you. In fact, I think last day we left the session on that note about keeping positive company. So thank you, Sangeeta. Amrita, I have a question for you. We were talking
Yes.
last night, and we were talking about your experience about staying with your parents and about your current status. And yeah, so would you share some light on that and how what exactly came your way and how you dealt with it?
Right. So, I was married and then I'm separated right now, right? So, after the entire incident happened, I came back and started staying with my parents. Of course, I'm a working individual and I think I'm responsible. So, if you have parents and they are also capable of taking care of themselves, but if you are earning and if you are, participating economically to the family, so it is an internal dynamics that you have, correct? But I realize that people have so many questions, and while they don't ask those questions directly, the indirect hint actually leads into those questions. Oh, you're staying with your parents. It means that you are dependent. All right. You're staying with your parents. It means that you're not contributing to the family. Right. How they started looking at me with sympathy. You know, I am sorry to hear this. Now, I would go back to them and say, I am not sorry because it was a conscious decision that I took. Something did not work out. And instead of taking it along in a bitter way, I decided to end it and live my life happily. I'm staying with my parents because I feel that they feel good about it. I do have an opportunity to go outside and work. The day I feel that I want to do it, I will do it, you know. So, yes, at this age, if people see you staying with your parents, they have this thought process that you're not dependent. And because you are a girl, even if you are earning, they think that you're not contributing enough. That is something that is very sad, because when my brother stays outside, but if he ever comes back to Calcutta, he will be staying with my parents only. Probably we'll have a different flat or something, but we will have the same setup where we can meet our parents, all the time. Now, does that mean that he does not contribute? No, no one will point fingers at him. Now, I am not saying that men are not shamed. Definitely they are. But there are certain preconceived notions that I have faced in my journey from the time I have, separated till this point in time. So it's very sad because, you start fighting those stereotypes and it's tiring at the end of it. That's what I feel. Yeah. Is
Lina, you're
Devlina
mute.
there?
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, you
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So, Sangeeta, the last question to you would be, have you ever been, subjected to, or somebody has called out on you in terms of masculine?
Can you repeat that question once again?
Has anybody shamed you or called out on you by calling you masculine?
So I don't know exactly masculine. I haven't been called.
Okay.
But so as I told you that I have a very egalitarian relationship with my husband and my children. So when I moved to Mumbai for work, I moved before him, and then after that he took a decision and he also moved. So that situation was sort of, it's generally accepted that if a man moves, the woman will move behind him. So yeah, at those times I did listen to a lot of stuff, But you know the duck's back that I told you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful message. I think I'll remember it all my life. Okay, if you
What
are
I
to,
can say is, I mean, if there's one message that I'd like to leave for everybody, what I've always told my girls, because my girls like me are not very tall, so I know they go through the same, subjection to the same kind of body shaming that probably I went through all my life. I've always told them, build your personal brand. Do not depend upon anything exterior, which includes a pair of stilettos also. Just build up. And they are just great. They are awesome. In fact, they've
sure.
gone to such a level कि अब मुझे बोलना पड़ता है कि अरे कहीं बाहर चल रहे हैं थोड़ा तो हील पहन लो. So they are so like we are just cool the way we are.
Thank you. Amrita, what would be your one-line message to all those who are watching you?
Be free, be fearless, and there's one Hindi song which I always listen to. It says, "कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना, छोड़ो बेकार की बातों में, कहीं बीत ना जाए रहना." You need to focus on yourself.
Yes.
Each and every individual has something good. It's not possible that you don't have good in you. You need to nurture that. You need to nurture your inner self. It does not matter how you look. Even if you look ugly, it should be in front for you. No one else should have the right to say you're looking bad or good. You should stand in front of the mirror and say, you know what, I'm looking amazing. It does not matter what other people say. The moment you wear that attitude, no one will have the right also to come up to you and say something different. That is what I feel. And that is what I will tell people who go through body shaming, every day, or gender shaming. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we started with this big question of the day. Do we try too hard to fit in or not? But after hearing them, I think the unanimous decision would be just be yourself. Just be yourself, and the world will adjust.
Absolutely.
So, before we leave, like every day, I have two quick tips for all of us to go from this place of body shaming to body positivity. And today's tip number 1 is, when you speak, speak slowly and speak decisively. And tip number 2 is, think of something you are good at. Something that you are very good at. Something you are an expert in. Now write it down. And once you've written that down, yes, absolutely, you know something you're good at, something you're very good at, and something you feel you're an expert of. Write it down and read it, study it every day. This is the tip of the day. Over to you, Pragati.
Thank you, everyone. This has really been nice. You've been very candid and shared your personal stories so fearlessly. And I'm sure everybody out there who's watching you has learned something. What I have really learned today, much as we read, and I feel we are all perpetual learners, Why we also get shamed is sometimes we stand on very rickety ground. Like knowledge is something which flows like a stream. So the day you stop growing, that's the day someone can shame you on your looks, on your age, on anything that is happening with you, or the state of your relationship or your financial status. But if you keep growing, then it's nothing. Whatever people are saying, it's just going to flow off you. So one thing what really is important is how strong are your own convictions in yourself. Once that comes in with the 2 tips that Devleena has just said and the personal stories that both the women have shared with us, you will see you become stoic. And then people shame, they don't shame, you're frankly going to be indifferent to it. So thank you for joining us today, and we will meet you again at 8 p.m. tomorrow. If you want to join us or have some comments or a particular topic that you want us to address, please list it out in the comment section and we'll definitely address it. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.